I'll never forget my first breakup, y'all. It was in a Panera parking lot. Yeah, after school, just like randomly. Had to drive by it for years after. It was horrific. I was screaming, crying, calling my mom. She thought I got into an accident, but I was like, we broke up. Like, it wasn't even me. Hello, and welcome back to Bestie Tales. Before we get into today's episode, I want to give a shout out to TLF for sponsoring today's episode. I'm wearing one of their men's jackets. I would say it's even more unisex, which is why I love TLF so much. It's almost sweatshirt season, guys. Even though it's still 95 degrees here in Nashville, Tennessee, I feel like we had a faux fall over the past couple weeks because it was kind of cool. It was beginning to feel like fall, but now it's really, really hot again. But in my mind, it's still sweatshirt season, and TLF is definitely the place where you should be getting your sweatshirts. A lot of them are unisex. So basically, if you girl math it, it's like a 2-for-1 deal. You get a sweatshirt for your mans, you get to wear it. You get a sweatshirt for yourself, your mans gets to wear it. If you want to save 15% on your order, use TLF-Sophia P at checkout. That is TLF-Sophia P. Okay, I don't know if you guys noticed anything different, but this is my first solo recorded episode with video. Obviously, I'd be yapping away by myself in my office all the time for audio only, but I haven't done a video only episode. I want to try to get into them more. I feel like this is my sign to push myself out of my comfort zone because it's different when you have somebody to talk to when there's a camera around, but when I'm just staring at you in your face with just the camera, I'm like, I feel intimidated. Like the camera is really staring me down with that little red recording light. But Chooch is not here today. And I'm going to be honest, she said I could share a little bit, but she is struggling with her mental health right now. She'll catch you guys up next week when she's feeling a little bit better, but she's just been struggling a little bit. And she's like, you know what? I think it's time that you take your first solo recorded video episode. This is your time to do it. I can't show up today. And I said, it's okay. I'll take one for the team. I will do this, for the both of us. I will update the besties on how you're doing, but she will give you more updates next week. But I honestly feel like something's in the air anyways. Now, I always say this, but when you change seasons, it just something is in the air. It's like that weird in between where some days are giving fall, some days are giving summer. You don't want to leave summer, but you're excited for fall. But the fall means that it's the end of the year. And how are we already at the end of the year? And all these different things are going through your head. And you're like, oh my God, it's almost September, basically. And I was supposed to be so much further along in the year. And look at where I'm at. It is that time of the year. I feel like so many people are struggling mentally right now, and Chooch definitely is. And I obviously have been taking very good care of her. I love her so much. She means so much to me. But she will be back next week to fill you guys in on all the tea. Today is one of those hair days. I woke up this morning, and when you clean your hair and you do just a really good job of cleaning it, but it almost is too clean. For me, I have naturally straight hair. I am blessed with just naturally straight hair. I don't even have any waves or curliness underneath. It's just pretty much pin straight when I naturally just air dry it. I don't even have to blow dry it for it to be straight, which again, super blessed for that. But sometimes it's almost too clean to where I cannot do a hairstyle. It just falls, or it just looks, it's just too clean. It's too clean. And I have to dirty it up with some dry shampoo, which didn't really work out this morning. So I honestly have no idea what my hair is looking like. It's kind of like a surprise. I'll just record this whole episode and I'll look back. I just threw it up in this bun. I hope that it turned out good, but it's just, I don't know. It's just girlhood where it's so frustrating. Also, I need to tell you guys that I was on my deathbed for about a week. I got so sick. It's not even funny. I don't even know what happened. I was congested, yes, but crazy fatigue and crazy exhaustion, which I'm still kind of feeling. And then Nash and I just got back from Charleston. So I was sick the week before Charleston, and then we left. I felt fine there. I was still a little congested, but it was the end of it where you're starting to feel better. You might sound worse, but all of it's just kind of coming out. That's what was happening. Had the best time in Charleston, you guys. Seriously, probably one of my favorite cities that I've ever been to. It was so rich in history and beautiful. And I'm not really a beach town kind of girl. And it felt like the perfect amount of beach town without it being too beachy. Because I'm used to California beach towns, and those are beach towns to a whole different level. It's just sand everywhere, beachy vibes, which a lot of people like. I just am not that kind of gal. But Charleston felt like the perfect mix of it's close to the beach. Obviously, it's pretty much on the water. But when you're in the city, you don't really feel like that. And it was so great. And the food was phenomenal. it was so fun to explore all the historical sites and just kind of learn more about the city and the history of it. And what's great is that Charleston is a tourist city. A lot of people visit there, of course, bachelorette parties, so many of them that I saw over the weekend. But it didn't feel like a tourist city, which I like, because Nashville is also like, it's a destination. A lot of people love to come here to party their ass off, but you feel that. Like, I don't feel like a lot of people go to Charleston to like party their ass off. They go more for like all the different activities you can do. And there's a lot of activities that you can do in Nashville too. But Broadway is like a Vegas. Like, they call it Nash Vegas. Like, you go there to just for one thing and one thing only, and that is to party your freaking ass off. And I just didn't feel that in Charleston, which I really appreciated and I really liked. But we had just like the best time. I have nothing but good things to say about Charleston. Definitely Nash and I want to vacation there at least once a year and continue to go back. And I'm like, okay, I can see my family vacationing here, which I feel like says a lot. So we had the best time, but I'm still like recovering. It's been like 2.5 weeks. I've barely worked out. I lost my solid core streak. I have my first class in almost like 3 weeks today. And I'm honestly not looking forward to it. I feel weak. You guys. But you know what? It is what it is. Old me would have like beat myself up about it. I would try to like overdo it right now, restrict myself with calories, overdo it at the gym, and just try to jump right back into it. But I'm leaning into, my fatigue and exhaustion that I'm still feeling. And I'm not trying to push myself too much because I had the best weekend. Like, I don't regret anything at all. I think my body kind of just shut down. I needed the break. I needed some time off. And yeah, it's all worth it. Like, I have no regrets. I ate my body weight in seafood and meat, and it was just so good. Like, some of the freshest seafood I've ever had. Phenomenal. But yeah, I used, like, old me would have definitely beat myself up for not working out, but new me is like, I had such a fun time. I don't regret it one bit. Yes, I was rotting away the week before in bed, couldn't even get out of bed, but it was all worth it. Like, I needed that break. Everything happens for a reason. You know what I mean? But enough yapping. I am going to get into the best details. I want to share a lot with you guys today and kind of like pump through them because I just want to, I don't know. I feel like we don't cover enough best details in the episode, but it's so hard because I'm like, I could keep you guys here for like 5 hours if you want. Like, I have no problem doing that. And just maybe I should like live stream a best details episode so then it could just be nonstop best details. I feel a piece of my hair that I forgot. There's nothing more humbling than putting your hair up and realizing you missed like an entire chunk of hair. Very nice. Okay, we're just gonna roll with it. I have no idea what's happening with the hair, but we're just gonna roll with it. Okay, let me put my spectacles on. Did you guys know that I've had glasses since the 3rd grade? Since the 3rd grade, I'll never forget getting my first pair of, not even sunglasses, first pair of prescription glasses. I came to school. I was so excited. And then I felt like, there's a little bug in here. Of course there is. I felt so embarrassed because people made fun of me for my spectacles, calling me 4 eyes. I'm like, okay, maybe I have 4 eyes now, but you don't have 4 eyes anymore because now I can see clearly. Yeah, so we've had prescription glasses for a minute. I went through a long period of time where I didn't wear them, and I have never had contacts. I don't know what it is, you guys. I don't know what it is. Like, convince me. I need you to convince me to get contacts. Is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because, oh my God, I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. Yeah, that's how I feel every time I put on my glasses. But do I need contacts? Are they really worth it? Should I do it? Because I love having my glasses, but sometimes I just like forget them. I don't bring them. I don't know if I'm a contacts girly. Like, will I poke my eye out? Do they feel comfortable? Will I have a bad reaction? What if I keep them in? I don't know. I'm thinking of all the negatives. But if you can convince me to get contacts, then maybe I'll fuck around and do it. Okay, so we've got some really good bestie tales. Let's get into it. This one is titled The Virgin Mary Tales. This one's kind of a wild one. I skimmed through it, and there's actually a follow-up bestie tale from a friend who convinced this friend to submit it. This is all anonymous, so I have no idea who you guys are, but we love when the besties come in strong. Okay, so it says, newer listener, but my friend insisted on me sharing this story, so here it goes. I'll try to keep it short. I met this man per my friend's recommendation. We went to dinner and quickly started talking every day in some capacity. When I say this man seemed perfect in every way, I really do mean it. Tall, funny, kind, respectful, the prettiest eyes known to me, and you name it, he has it. Things seemed to be moving in a great direction, and we were spending more time together and progressing towards what felt like a potential relationship. Flash forward to about 3 months later when we were texting, and out of the blue, he asks if he can ask me a personal question. I'm quite literally an open book, so I'm like, obviously, fire away. Then he goes on to tell me how he's been waiting to be physical for marriage and that this is a non negotiable for him, and asks my opinion. I haven't waited for marriage, but I'm also selective with who I'm physical with. Then he asks to talk in person, and I assume it's going to be a conversation of, if this were to progress, I'd like to wait. Would you totally be okay with that? To which I was already ready to have a conversation about. He comes over and essentially tells me that because I haven't waited for marriage, that's a deal breaker and he doesn't want to proceed with us. A little background: 4 days prior, he hadn't even tried to hold my hand or kiss me or anything. I had to straight up tell him, you know, I like you, to which then he kissed me. It was a really, really bad kiss, and I might have made a joke about how bad it was. I'm not perfect. He's also in his late 20s, just to give some context. As it goes without saying, we're not speaking anymore. I initially did feel really icky and judged, but as I've talked with my friends, they've helped me work through that. Having sex before marriage doesn't make you icky. It should go without saying that I have no problem with him wanting to wait, and I did reiterate that to him. It was a conversation that was just absolutely wild, and I never really experienced anything like that. I'm over the idea of him thinking about it further removed, but I don't think it would have been a great fit anyways. But 3 months of dates and talking every day, and after kissing me, he drops that. Wild. There's definitely more relationship dating stuff he did, i.e., dropping candy off and a sweet note to my door before I left for a trip, and having me pick out which shirt he should buy for work, but I'll save you the details. Hopefully, this makes you giggle or makes your jaw drop. Either way is okay. I've done both, and so have my friends. So before I respond to that, I got a different bestie tale in that says, please read the Virgin Mary tales. I am the friend that set up my bestie that submitted the Virgin Mary tales. I love these titles, you guys. I set these two up because they truly are such a good match. He is my long-term boyfriend's friend. He just graduated from doctorate school, and my bestie just graduated from grad school with me. They have similar values, would do anything for anyone they cared about, and are the most down-to-earth people, or so I thought. In my opinion, he did her dirty. To make a girl feel less than for her past is just simply the worst. But the advice I'm needing now is, how do I support my bestie that has been shamed for being herself while not hating his guts, because he will be in our lives forever? I mean, if this man is going to be a groomsman, I need to get over it, but I can't stop being bitter. Woof. Okay, a lot to unpack here. My initial thoughts is that here's the thing. First of all, people's beliefs are their beliefs. Like, there's no shame in a man wanting to wait for marriage. There's no shame for a woman wanting to wait for marriage. There's no shame in that. It's, their own opinions, whether it be religious or whatever. That's something that's sacred to them, and that's something that's really important. And there's no shame in that. There's also no shame in the fact of not wanting to wait for marriage and, and doing that. Like, that's it right there. But I think the issue here is the communication. If that is, because honestly, it is a big deal for somebody to wait for marriage, wanting to be physical for marriage. And that is obviously something that they hold very highly when it comes to relationships. The fault here is on his end with not communicating that. Like, that's arguably a first date conversation and or second date. It's not 3 months in. Like, that is 100%, I would say, on him for not communicating that. It's not his fault for wanting to wait for marriage. It's his fault for not communicating that to you, because that is like something that is a deal breaker for him, and also could potentially be a deal breaker for somebody on the receiving end, because they may not feel that way. They may feel like, I don't want to wait for marriage. That's not something that, I want to do. I believe the opposite. I would rather be physical before marriage, etc., whatever your beliefs are. So that, first of all, not okay on his end for not communicating that. And also, it seems like in the conversation, maybe he shamed you for it and made you feel like, because you did it before marriage, that you're icky, and that's like not okay, which that is not okay, because your beliefs are your beliefs. Everybody believes different things, and the conversation should have been like, this is something that I hold, to a very high standard, and you want to do that before marriage, and that's just not something that I believe in. I respect your beliefs though, and like, that's the choice that you made, and I totally understand that. Like, no harm there. I just feel like because this is a deal breaker for me, that maybe like we should move on our separate ways because it's just obviously this is not something that's going to work out. Something like that. But if he made you feel icky and shamed for it, that's not okay on any freaking aspect. That's why like communication is so important. I feel like first couple dates with somebody, you have to get into the nitty-gritty of things like almost immediately. I mean, I am an open book and also so is Nash. So I think we immediately right away talked about like some really big things, but don't be afraid to ask those difficult questions before, you go on a date with them. Like if you're talking to them over text or over the phone or whatever, or don't be afraid to dig into those tough conversations immediately because then it saves you all of this time. Like 3 months is a long time to be talking to somebody, maybe developing some feelings and having it kind of be like a slow burn type of thing just for them to be like, oh, this is like not going to work out just because of this. And it's like, this is something that could have been solved the first date that we had. So I'm really bummed about that. Now, for the friend who's asking for advice, I think it is what it is. You continue to support your friend, be there for them. It seems like you really helped them through that because that's obviously really difficult. And maybe you feel kind of like bummed out because you're like, I'm the one that set them up. I thought that they were good. And now I'm really like upset at myself for doing that, or I'm upset at him for doing that. But it's something that it's his beliefs. Did he go about it the right way? I personally don't think so. I feel like you guys don't think so either. But that's just how he went about it. And instead of like resenting him or being mad at him for it, you just kind of like you just don't need that energy in your life where you're like, okay, I'm not setting you up with any more of my friends. That was kind of it for me. You're a man and him can have their own relationship, but that's not something that you really need to be a part of. And you continue to just be there for your friend because girlhood, right? Okay, moving on. Hi, Soph. I love you on the pod so much. I love you too. My first boyfriend of 3 years, who I thought would be the person I married, just broke up with me. It felt like such a shock and out of nowhere. I just graduated college and started an amazing job while he has 2 more years of school left. I supported him through his mom dying, wrote multiple papers to keep him from failing out of school, and was there for him in every way possible and gave him my all. He was my first everything, and I'm completely heartbroken. He would tell me my anxiety is a problem and that I don't try, and made me feel boring for not wanting to drink multiple times a week and to go out and do other things. I had to shove everything down, and if I brought things up, it would always end in a bad argument where I was apologizing and having to change things, or I was left with the threat of him leaving me. I'm feeling so many different emotions and I'm so hurt. I know I'm so young and have so much time ahead of me, but I'm really struggling to understand that it will be okay and that I'll be able to find love again. He has made me feel like I'm so unlovable and not good enough. Where the fuck do I go from here? Love you so much, and your pod has always been what's got me through a lot of hard days. I wish that I could give you a hug right now. I know that there's so many other girls that are probably feeling the same way. And the devastation of a breakup, no matter what, oh, it changes you. Like breakups change you as a person. You are not the same person before and after a breakup, especially when it's out of the blue. But I'll just tell you right now that this relationship is not something that you deserve. You deserve so, so much better. You deserve somebody who is not going to shame you for your anxiety. They're going to help you out with it. A breakup should never be threatened in a relationship ever. That should never be something that when you guys are in tough discussions or maybe arguing a little bit, pulling the, okay, well, I'm going to leave you card is never fucking okay. That's like manipulation at its finest. And it's not something that should ever be threatened on both ends, but definitely from his end, it sounds like he's the one that threatened that more. And you just want somebody who's going to be there for you and support you and love you even through hard times. And I'm going to tell you right now, all the things you listed off, that is not a relationship that is for you. It's not fulfilling. He seems like a very low vibration human, and he's got a lot of things to work through, and he's trying to drag you down, and you're full of high vibrations, and you want somebody who is going to rise up to your high vibrations or even be higher than you, and somebody that's going to encourage you to be a better person. But just know that, like, here's the thing about breakups. The worst, I feel like, when I went through gnarly breakups is I always wanted the last word. I also always wanted them to feel what I was feeling because I felt the devastation and the hurt and the anger immediately. That's how women usually feel, is that we feel the emotions of a breakup instantaneously right away. Whereas when we look at them, it seems like they're fine. they're living their best life. They're still posting. They're going out with friends. It seems like they're not hurting. And you want more than anything them to feel the way that you're feeling right away. That you're feeling all these emotions. They're not feeling fucking anything at the moment. Like boys can hurt too, and they can have their feelings hurt too. Okay. But for the most part, I feel like the stereotype is that when you break up, you're feeling those feelings right away. And then the boys are just off doing their own thing. They're fine. They seem fine. And that fucking hurts. You're like, you get so mad because you're like, I want you to feel what I'm feeling because I feel horrible. How are you feeling okay right now? But I'll tell you right now, this is what's going to happen is that you're just going to have to move forward with the fact that you probably won't get the last word. He will be off doing his own thing and you're going to be hurting and you're just going to have to heal with some unanswered questions. And that's the worst part because there's nothing more than you wanting to sit down with him and just be like, why this? Why that? Why did you feel this? Why did you say that? Why did you act like that? And then for just to sit down and just give you everything that you want to hear, like answer all of the questions. And then you can just like move on peacefully. Unfortunately, that's not really how breakups work. You're going to have to heal with those unanswered questions, with those feelings of just like anger and all those questions that you have are probably going to go unanswered until later down the line when you start to get more clarity. And I feel like that's the hardest thing about breakups is just that initial feeling that you have and then they're off doing their own thing and you have so many questions and so many things that you want to just be like, I want you to hurt too, and they just don't right away. But then you start healing and you start feeling good, and then they always start to come back around. They will, I guarantee you, he will come back around. Not that you want that, okay? Because this is not a man. This is a boy. And you don't want a boy in your life. You want a man. That's what you want. You are young. You're going to be okay. I can promise you that. It feels like the end of the world right now, but it's really not. It's not the end of the world. Like, you're going to be okay. You're going to make it through this. Lean into your friends, lean into your family. And honestly, that's the biggest thing is just always surround yourself with people. When you're alone, especially like at night, that's when it starts to eat away at you. That's when you just become maybe a little bit weaker and you're like, should I reach out to them? Should I call them? Should I text them? Should I check their, social media, their Instagram, their TikTok or whatever? Don't do that. Surround yourself with people. Always be, that's the biggest thing. Like surround yourself with your besties. So then they can distract you or with your family or continuously keep yourself busy during this time and just dive into the healing process. And I'm going to tell you right now, girl, there is no better glow up than a post breakup glow up. You're going to be shining. You're going to be glowing. You're going to become a better version of yourself. Like breakups change you, and this is going to change you into a better person. And you'll realize that you'll find a man who makes you feel loved and wanted and nurtured and cared for and is the complete opposite of this guy. Like at the end of the day, breakups, whether it's friendship breakups or relationship breakups, it's a learning lesson. And that's what it is. Like you're going to learn so much from this. All of these red flags that he's giving you that you listed off all right here very clearly. You can reread the bestie tale that you sent in or like re-listen to it, but there are so many red flags there. You'll realize and learn from that, and you'll be able to move forward with this, new relationships that you have and be able to be like, okay, that's a sign from my ex, I'm steering clear from that. Whereas at first you didn't know because this was your first love. And first loves, ooh, God, they hurt. They hurt so bad. Like, I'll never forget my first breakup, y'all. It was in a Panera parking lot. Yeah, after school, just like randomly. Yep, in the fucking parking lot of the Panera. Had to drive by it for years after. I know the exact spot. It was horrific. Horrific. I was screaming, crying, calling my mom. She thought I got into an accident, but I was like, we broke up. Like, it wasn't even me, but it was horrible. And like that feeling that you have is like, you feel like your world is ending. Like you'll never find another love. You're like, this is it. My world is ending. Dare I even move on with my life? Like, this is crazy, but you'll be okay. Lean into your friends, lean into your family, and just know that this is not the man for you. You do not want a man to make you feel like this ever. Okay, moving on next. Here we go. This one's a good one. I feel like this actually might be really relatable to all girlies out there. So maybe not, but hi, bestie babes. This podcast has quickly become one of my favorites. So thank you for doing what you do. Thank you. I love you. Sorry in advance if this is kind of long. You guys never apologize. Like send me a novel. I will read it all. This isn't a story, but a reach for advice maybe. My boyfriend and I have been together for about 3 years and we just moved in together and it's amazing so far. We're amazing roommates and it definitely has made our relationship stronger. One thing though is that he smokes a lot of weed, which I have absolutely no problem with at all. Sometimes I'll smoke with him and if it's before bed or something, I'll take a hit. But sometimes I feel like it has been happening more often lately. He gets so high and he almost disassociates a little bit. He's like still coherent, obviously, but you know how weed can kind of make you slumpy sometimes, which again is totally fine. But the part that I kind of get hurt feelings by is it is kind of affecting our sex life. Like he's too tired or high to have sex. Mind you, my sex drive is higher than his, and I'm respectful of it and never force anything, of course. But when we haven't had sex in a while and I'm in the mood, I can tell that he's not. I feel weird initiating. And it's kind of embarrassing, but it's happened a few times before where we do have sex after he smokes and he can't get it up. I've learned to not take that personal, but it's very hard not to sometimes. Any advice on a conversation that I can have with him to communicate my feelings about this? Another separate sex note is that he always likes to be on top and also has a hard time keeping it up if he's not the dominant one slash on top. Whereas when I'm on top, I know what I need to do to climax. But since he's always on top, it's honestly rare that I ever even reach the finish line, if you know what I mean. Sorry if that's TMI, but help, please. Thank you so much. I love you guys. Okay. Totally understandable. So, never, you guys, it's never TMI here. Come on. Like, does TMI even exist in the bestie gang world? I really don't think so. So, okay, weed can definitely affect sexy time. Okay. And that's why, which I've warned before when I'm talking about drinking my gardening mocktails and all of those different things. I've said it before, but like I've seen people firsthand get addicted to weed and also have it really affect their work life, their relationships, their sex drive, and all these different things. So it's one of those things that like you really have to find a routine with it and you have to find a good balance with it. And it doesn't seem like he has that. So, what I would suggest here, it sounds like there's like a few different conversations that need to be had. First of all, it's one with weed where it's like finding a good balance with smoking and just kind of sitting him down and being like, hey, listen, you know that I love that you smoke. I'm totally okay with it, but I feel like the balance, the equilibrium is kind of just a little bit off with smoking. And I feel like doing a little bit of a cleanse or a break from it can be really helpful. And I don't want you to like stop smoking. That's not what I'm saying. But I feel like from my perspective, it's kind of affecting some other things, and I want you to just hear me out on like how I'm seeing things. And listen, like I know that this is not it's not necessarily your fault, and I know that you don't mean to do any of these things, but just like let me just show you my perspective of things. And I feel like when you say things like that, it's really important to make sure that you emphasize like this is just how I'm receiving what's going on. Because remember, in our communications episode, everybody receives information differently. And sometimes in conversations, this is where I feel like people miss is that they go kind of for the attack. And when sometimes men receive information, they receive it as like an attack immediately instead of it, which sometimes it can come off that way. And that's not the way that you're trying to tell them what's going on, but they immediately receive it like it's their fault. They're pieces of shit. They're this, that, the other, and it's attack on their character. And God forbid, you know, they have a little mental breakdown. But when you frame it in a way that it's like, okay, just like walk with me here. This is just like from my perspective, what I'm feeling. I know you don't mean any of this, but like, let me just walk you through what I feel like is happening with our relationship with you smoking weed. So kind of frame it as that and just be like, you know, I feel like it's just getting a little bit too much. I feel like taking a break can be super helpful because especially when it comes to our romancy time and you know, getting down to business, I'm not really feeling fulfilled in that side of things. And you guys, communication about sexy time is so important. There's a period of time where Nash and I just really we didn't talk about it a lot. And that's when like I had no sex drive. That's when we were really struggling with our libido and that side of our relationship. But now that we're in a place where it's like we talk about it often in a way that it's like sometimes we make little comments here and there throughout the day, which I think is good to kind of keep it spicy and keep it fun, like not crazy comments, but just like here and there throughout the day, little remarks that can kind of make you feel good or make them feel good. And then also just like talking about it in general, where it's like continuously talking about things that we like, things that we don't like in the bedroom, just keeping the conversation open always, because it can sometimes be a little bit awkward to sit them down and be like, hey, listen, like I'm feeling a little bit unfulfilled in the bedroom. And I want to kind of talk about it. Sometimes they can take it in a way that it's like they're not doing enough. They're not this, that, the other, because the stereotype is that, the men are dominant in the bedroom and they're the ones that should be running the show. And if they're not and you don't feel that way, then they're like, not providing enough. Like that's, again, I'm generalizing and stereotyping here, but really just talking about your feelings and just being like, this is like how I feel, like certain positions. Like I know that you like to do this, but like that doesn't make me feel good in the bedroom. And that's not really how I feel loved and like to receive in the bedroom. This is actually how I like to receive in the bedroom. And it can kind of be, this is why it's fun to talk about these things, because maybe he didn't really know that. And now it's something new that you can try. That's like how you keep the spark alive, is just being like, you know what, actually, I feel like I would like to try this out. So not only is it fun for you to be able to receive whatever you're going to be trying out, but it could be fun for them to step into a new role where it's like, okay, I've never given in that way. This is going to be fun for me. Like I'm a little bit nervous, even though you guys have been together for 3 years. You know what I mean? Like that's how you keep the spark alive, is continuing to try new things, continuing to be like, okay, I actually would like to give in this way or receive in this way when it comes to being in the bedroom. And it's important to continue talking about those things and trying new things, but it's all the feelings that you're feeling are super valid. I feel like there's actually a lot of people out there where maybe like their partner also is maybe getting in a little bit of a slump with weed. And that's where you really want to nip it in the bud before it gets too late, because you don't want to feel like that. And I totally understand getting in that slump. Like I've had those moments too. And it's not like a make or break with the relationship at all. This is something that you can definitely work through. You just have to have tough conversations that can be a little bit awkward. But at the end of the day, if you're able to communicate properly and he's able to receive that communication properly and not take it as like an attack, which hopefully he doesn't, you're going to be able to work through it. Everything's going to be fine. And you guys are going to then rejuvenate yourself in the bedroom. And that's something that you get to look forward to. It's like exciting and fun. And you guys, it's totally normal for people to get in slumps in the bedroom. Let's be real. Like, it's not going to be hot, spicy, all the books that you're reading 24/7. That's just not real life. That's not realistic. We go through our waves with it. We go through our slumps, whether it's one person or both of you. And it's just about continuing to talk about it, continuing to communicate in the bedroom, outside of the bedroom, about the bedroom, and continuing to work through those slumps. It's just really important to keep talking about it. Like, make it so it's not like, the more that you talk about it, the less awkward it's going to be, and the more you're able to communicate inside, outside the bedroom, about the bedroom, the more fun it's going to be, and the more you'll be able to stay on top of it, and hopefully maybe the less slumps that you'll get into. But again, like, the slumps sometimes be slumping, and it's okay. Like, don't feel like you're the only couple that like is having issues in the bedroom, because believe me, you're not alone in that. Like, I can tell you firsthand that you are not alone in that, and it's something that you can absolutely work through in a relationship for sure. Okay, the next Bestie Tales. So I first want to say how much your content has changed my life. You're the big sister I always wanted and truly appreciate your vulnerability. I love you. I love you. I wanted to let you know that I've gone through and listened to almost every one of your podcasts where you talk about birth control, and you have inspired me to get off of it. I have been on it for about 5 years and have had a good experience with that. However, I'm starting to take my health more seriously and want to take a different approach when it comes to the female cycle. I'm a bit nervous of the side effects of getting off of it, but I know it's going to be a good choice for me. What would you recommend for me to input in my lifestyle as I walk into the season of my body readjusting to not being on birth control? Thanks in advance. You're the best. Okay, so this is a really good one. Honestly, I think it's time that I do a full episode of like what to do with getting off of hormonal birth control. Here's the issue. I'm going to recommend some things to you right now, and for any of you guys who are feeling the same way. The issue is that there is, again, as I've said a million times before, little to no research on the female cycle, on tracking our cycle, on getting off of it. There are things that have been researched that we know to be true. And from that research, we kind of can hypothesize things that we can do to account for like post birth control life or withdrawal, as you can call it. So I will be spending, I think, a whole episode diving into this so I can give you guys really like in-depth feedback. But from what I know to be true, first of all, I think that tracking your cycle before getting off can be helpful, even if you don't have a period necessarily. Log what you can. I use natural cycles with my Aura ring. You don't need the Aura ring, but I 100% suggest natural cycles. It's the first and only FDA cleared birth control app ever. That's it. And it's fucking fantastic. I could not recommend it enough. If you are going to be tracking your cycle, track your cycle with the best of the best. And that is hands down the best app to use. I feel like it is definitely the most accurate. I used Flow for a period of time and it was like wildly, scarily inaccurate. And then ever since I started using natural cycles, like my whole life has changed. But start tracking your cycle before getting off. Start continuing to learn about the female cycles so then you understand how to track your cycle before getting off. Because for me, I got off and didn't even know what to do. Didn't even realize that tracking your cycle was a thing until after I got off. I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? So educate yourself on how to track your cycle, from how to measure your BBT in the morning to how to track ovulation. Learn about all of that so then when you get off, you're just basically rolling in it. You don't have to learn while you're getting off. You already kind of understand the gist of it. So that's number one. Number two, is this going to work for everybody? No, but I know that this is something that a lot of people suggest, is actually taking a prenatal before getting off of birth control. Because when you're on birth control, it is known to possibly, I want to be careful with what I say, but it is known to create deficiencies of vitamins and minerals in your body. One of them being vitamin B, folate, and zinc. I think it is. Don't take my word for that. But those are, I think, the two main ones that birth control depletes from your body. So taking a prenatal can really help with your hair, your skin, your nails, and also it basically is packed full of all of those rich vitamins and minerals that your body needs before you get off. So I would start taking a prenatal before you start getting off so then your body can be fueled with those. So when you get off, it's not as drastic. Because I think for me, I didn't take fucking anything, you guys. Like literally I raw dogged getting off of birth control. But I think that's why I had so many issues getting off, with hair loss, with acne, with a regular cycle at first, but I was very lucky. I got my period right away. And it was irregular in the sense that it wasn't consistently between like 26 to 29 days. Like my cycle is pretty much almost 26 to 29 days long. It's within that range. It's not like a huge range, but sometimes it would come every 3 weeks. Sometimes it would come every 6 weeks until it regulated out. But I guess the hypothesis is if your body is depleted of vitamins and minerals, then you could potentially experience some of those things that women experience getting off of birth control: hair loss, acne, gaining weight, losing weight, etc. Again, it's different for everybody. You might experience everything. You might experience nothing. You might experience only just a few things that could potentially happen. So I think taking a prenatal is something that I would really, really suggest, and tracking your cycle. Don't listen to me. I don't know anything. I am not a doctor. I am not licensed in any of this. So just take what I say with a grain of salt. But that is something that I would suggest for sure. Those are the two main things. But I think that I'm going to spend a whole episode going over all of this stuff with you guys because I want to dive more into it. I want to do more research from what little is out there and kind of give you guys all of that information. Okay, we have time for one more. We've been cranking these out, you guys. Hopefully this has been a good episode for you guys. Okay, so the title is my boyfriend controlling? Let's just first start off with saying, if you're asking that question, I'm going to be leaning towards yes. Okay. Hi, besties. I've been with my boyfriend for 3 years now, and we're both 22. Throughout our relationship, he has established a boundary where we don't go out without each other. I turned 21 before him, so he was really upset with me for going out without him and almost broke up with me for it. I've told him before that I don't really agree with this, but he told me that he would leave me if I went out without him. I am so young and I want to experience life, but I feel like he's holding me back. He also doesn't like it when I wear certain outfits and consider biker shorts and a crop top to the gym too revealing. He has obviously led me to resent him because I don't feel like I'm living my young years to the fullest potential. Aside from all this, he does treat me well and he makes me happy for the most part, but I am constantly battling between staying with him and potentially regretting it when I'm older or breaking up with him. Any advice? Like Chooch has always said, when you guys write into this, it's almost like when you write in, you answer your own question. Like, you know, when you have a question on a test when you were in school, or if you're still in school, God bless. I was literally thinking about it the other day. I'm like, I can't believe people Like, I could not put my brain back into school, although I probably need more education, let's be real. But you know, when you go up to ask a question to the teacher and then you reread it again, and all of a sudden you get up to the teacher to ask a question and you say it and you're like, hey, I have a question about this, but then you answer it in your head. You're like, wait a minute. Now that I said it like that and I have you here next to me, I already know the answer. I feel like that's the same energy when you guys write in, especially about like relationship stuff where you're like, well, I don't know what I'm doing. It's like, but you do. You know, okay? That gut feeling. And for the bestie earlier who sent that relationship one in, okay? You have to listen to your sixth sense as a woman. Nothing is stronger than your sixth sense. You already have a gut feeling. I can feel your gut feeling already in reading this, okay? You know what's right for you. You know what you want. And you are way too young to let a man, not even a man, a boy drag you down because of that. There are absolutely respect to boundaries, to hearing out what your partner has to say, to what they believe and what they feel. Their opinions and thoughts and morals and beliefs matter. And I think in your 20s, you're trying to figure out what you believe about things. Because when you grow up, your parents instill their morals, values, beliefs into you. And that's just kind of like what you believe because your parents are your everything. They're your heroes. Everything is right coming out of their mouth when you're a kid. But then you get into the real world where you're in your 20s and you're like, like I was raised on these ideals and beliefs, but I don't feel like that is what I really believe based off of like what I've experienced with life. And you're trying to navigate what you feel like is right and wrong, what you believe to be true and not true. And also that comes with relationships as well. Like 3 years is a long time, like 18 to 22, 21 or 19 to 22 or whatever are pivotal fucking moments in your life. That is when you're like going from being under your parents' umbrella to starting to be in the real world and meet other people and get new life experiences. And just because maybe you believed certain things at the beginning of a relationship doesn't mean that things can change. And listen, boundaries are all good and I'm all for boundaries. Don't get me wrong. However, when it's boundaries that are restricting you from being true to yourself and are taking away at you, that's not okay. And I'm not saying that, I mean, like, you should be able to wear whatever the fuck you want. You know what I mean? But like, hear your man out to a certain degree. Like, if they have certain beliefs and morals and you kind of agree with that, then yes, you guys can both agree with that. And I'm not saying that his are necessarily wrong because I know that maybe some people believe stuff like that and it's totally fine. Believe what you want to believe. But if it's not what you believe and what you want with your life, then I think you have your answer right there. I think you have your answer right there. And again, breakups should never be threatened. Like for him to threaten breaking up with you over what you wear or going out without him is crazy. You need your girls' nights, okay? You need your nights out without him. You need to do things without him. And it seems like his boundaries to you feel restrictive. And that's not what you want in life. Like you are so young. You are so young. I feel like a grandma and I'm turning 26 soon, but you're so young. These are the best fucking years of your life. Like 20s are, I'm only halfway through. Okay. I'm acting like I'm 75 right now. But I just feel like your 20s are where you're fucking up, you're breaking up, you're doing crazy things, you're taking chances, you're trying and failing, you're trying and succeeding, and you're just figuring yourself out. Like I just know when I get to my 30s, like things are just going to click into place and that's when shit is going to start making sense. But right now, it just doesn't make sense and that's okay. Like we're all trying to figure ourselves out. And I feel like we're so hard on ourselves because with social media, like we think that things are perfect for everybody else when in reality, like you guys really behind closed doors. Like I know some of these influencers too firsthand, like things are not what they seem on social media. And I can tell you that right now. Okay. Like it is all just like to a certain extent from a lot of creators, just like a false reality. And you guys have to understand that, like, don't compare yourself to other people. This is like a whole different rant. But yeah, I think you already have your answer. You already have your answer. Like by the end of when you were writing it in, that gut feeling, listen to it. You deserve a man that is going to encourage you to wear what you want to wear, that makes you feel like either sexy or makes you just feel good. And you want a man to support you and like encourage you to be like, no, go out with your girls, like go out without me or have a day by yourself or do your thing. Like you want a man to support you in those things. You don't want a man to like bring you down. You guys, we got to cut this fucking baggage off and these anchors in our lives. And that goes for any relationship, honestly. But that's my advice. Wow, I just like rapid fired that episode. Wow, we got through a lot today, you guys. Wait, this was so fun. I'm wondering if I should film some of my bestie tales recorded alone. It's weird recording alone. Like, I've literally just been staring at the red dot on the camera the whole time, aka staring in your beautiful eyes. But this was a really good episode. I loved hanging out with you guys solo dolo with a video, and maybe I'll do more of these episodes. Whew, that's all I got. I've got to eat, you guys. Your girl is hungry. Like, even though I ate my body weight in seafood this weekend, that's also the other thing about Charleston is that we ate out every meal, but I didn't feel like shit because it wasn't like a lot of like deep fried stuff. Like, it was so fresh. Like, the fish was so fresh. I really miss it. I really do. Anyways, okay, I'm gonna get going. I love you guys so, so much. You are the best. I don't know if you guys can hear that. Chooch is going off on the third floor. She's working on the third floor. I don't know if you guys heard that loud bang, but that scared the shit out of me. But I love you. Thank you for hanging out with me today as I'm like gripping my microphone right here. Thanks for hanging. I've got nothing else to say. I'm honestly fucking starving. I feel like I'm seeing stars right now. But thank you for sharing the episode. Thank you for hanging out with me. I love you guys so much. And I will talk to you soon.